Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Reviews where today we have ourselves an EP from an act named Heathensun titled New Metal Ninjas. And if we switch over to here we have ourselves the track on Spotify. It's actually got quite a lot of love, you know, there's a good amount of plays on the first 3 tracks here. Just before we go any further though, we've actually got a few YouTube music videos to watch as well, so we're going to be reviewing each of the 5 tracks on this EP from start to finish. And we're going to hear what we think. Starting with the first track, My Own Worst Enemy, featuring Dropout Kings, Let's Go. What do we have? Great use of synths. Early 2000s new metal vibe to it. Really feisty tones of the rhythm guitars, eh? I mean, like, really simple, easy to understand hook line there with the vocal fry. Great to have one singer doing one thing and another doing another. Great use of featured artists. And I just want to comment on that guitar tone. It's got a really kind of dope grittiness to it. I kind of feel like I've a sense of nostalgia somehow. And halftime. I mean, everyone just looks like they're having such a good time, you know? I mean, it's such a great charisma from the front people. Both middle fingers up. Alright, what do I think this track is about? My Own Worst Enemy. So, I suppose just a few comments on it. I think this track was about, I don't know if he's talking about themselves specifically or like people in general, because he sounds like he's addressing everyone, like how we've got to put like, got like 1,000 miles or something like that. Like we maybe haven't necessarily been doing enough to kind of make things better for ourselves. I think I need like another couple of listens to really get all the lyrics through clearly. I think part of that is because I was paying attention to a lot of different things within the track, like, you know, the guitarists and lots of different power chords we had there. The bass line was really well behaved with the guitars. I liked how they were synced together, and the percussion was wonderful. I thought, you know, like, again, like, it did remind me of a lot of the early kind of new metalish kind of Limp Bizkit kind of stuff that I heard from the early 2000s. Also, like, a bit of the Beastie Boys, and I know they've mentioned that as well on their social media, so they're kind of like, some of those are their inspirations, but it's done in a way where they still manage to make it their own somehow, even though they're harkening back to, like, maybe earlier inspirations. It's rough around the edges and gritty, but a really tight performance. The percussion was absolutely on point. Wonderful array of different grooves on the kit, and I'm looking forward to what we have next. What I will quickly say before we move on, actually, just I think that the way with like kind of vocal fry and the growl, I suppose potentially from Dropout Kings there, it showed a clear disdain and like frustration with the fact that we were our own, you know, worst enemy. So I suppose that tone is, you know, it's useful there. It makes everything kind of make sense. We've got Shellshock, track number 2. What do we got here? Really loving the kind of frenetic snare emotions with these rhythm guitars and low tune stuff. That's a guitar fix of synth leads, isn't it, as a sub layer? I wasn't expecting it just to churn out into like a lead riff. Shout out to the production quality of these videos. I don't really talk about videos much, but just in case I mentioned it already, this is really well done. Phenomenal scream there. Great tuning. Again, I love the explorational lead work with the strings. I mean, like, part of what really appeals to me about this is the fact that, you know, like, a lot of the time the vocals is the focal point, right? The rap, that kind of shout scream kind of rappy stuff. With the screams, the visceral kind of vocal fry over top of the chorus is a layer. A lot of the time we've had power chords and occasional sort of synth leads or something like that. That could have been just modulated guitar effects on the top. They kind of reminded me of some of like Linkin Park's earlier stuff as well, with the tones of those. But I'm not trying to pigeonhole them for the sake of, hey, this is this band plus this band, this band. I'm just sort of trying to compare it to things I know. But I really appreciate that after having a track where, you know, that feature was the additional musician, you have the band by themselves now, allowing like the lead guitarist to have their sort of voice put forward. There were several different lead sections. I thought that was spectacular. Shellshock, though, what I could gather from this is that maybe they're talking about going into battle either figuratively or literally, like where they're going up against other bands or themselves or people they know personally or something like that. Maybe they're it's like a comment on people who listen to them, telling them not to forget them or something like that. That's what I've got at this point. There is a lot going on within these tracks, but I think it's a good thing because it's incredibly engaging and envelops you. And especially if you're into this time of music, you're just going to want to hear more. And then we got Four Kings featuring CHUCKY, Chuck, I Don't Give a DGAF. Oh, nice use of alternative percussion there. It's ominous, man. The groove with the bass. Sick. I mean, that whistle, that siren there. Sick shift here. I really appreciate that. I think that it's great to have different approaches to different choruses within this EP, different bits of color there, especially with the focus on either low tune power chords on the rhythm guitars or like the occasional sort of like siren on the sides, but just the bass and drum focus as well. To have that amount of color in the mid to high ranges with the hook line is really smart. Smart move there. I was expecting, like, you could have potentially put another lead layer on top of that build going into it, but they cut it in half because they knew they probably had that before and they didn't want to have too much of that again. Sometimes development can be less, you know. Sometimes development can be less. Just wanted to start from the start of this chorus again, you know? Shit, I think I get this track pretty clearly, to be honest. Great build there with the octaves. Sick. No, that was really well done. I wasn't sure what to expect from that one. I got the gist of the track really quickly. I think there are the four kings. He talked about at the start, like the world's kind of messed up and stuff like that. Kind of talking about what their priorities are, I suppose, if they're in charge and all that. And just the hook line telling you to grab, I suppose, grab, you know, and run. You know, don't run for cover. There was a lot of power in the overall arrangement and composition here with the parts, you know, like both the rhythm parts and the octaves and leads. And bass being nice and thick and full with an interesting focus of like more sort of like acoustic and digital percussive elements there. If I'm not mistaken, I think that those two were paired incredibly well. And there was also maybe some like lower range string parts as well during the verse, which was nice. We're experimenting with different tones with the synthetic side of things. That adds a sense of individuality with each track. And, you know, it makes it memorable as well. The verse from Chucky Chuck, Don't Give a Fuck, was solid. Really well done as well. Like the distinct collaborations we have here that fill the purpose of what we're going on. They choose people with their strengths lie in there, giving, you know, Chucky that you know, it was unexpected. It just came in really, really subtly, and I'm stoked. So after watching the 3 videos on YouTube, feel free to go check out their YouTube if you want to see more of their stuff. We've got 2 more tracks to let check out tonight with Friends featuring Heathensun and Kate Glock. So let's go. It's a lot more somber, isn't it? Great foil there. It's nice to have a lady vocalist in here, not because I think it's required, but because it's just such a... So it's a really formidable texture shift to what we've had with the vocals throughout this album so far. You know, we've had some clean vocal parts, but it's just fascinating how well it transitioned there. We had good vocal technique. These are just really full-sounding tracks in general, with dynamic range, to be fair. Interesting phrasing there. Great use of delay, slipping around the sides of the stereo field. A bit of turntablism too. Oh, is that Kate? Nice. I mean, I might have gotten confused, but I just, yeah. No, that's definitely just that's Kate Lock, double tracked. I like how busy the drums are with the 16th note grooves and the transitions. Yeah, no, this is a well-written track. I think it was nicely fleshed out here. It was more of a focus on the vocals with this one as opposed to some of the parts like Shellshock where there were several solos and such. But I don't necessarily mind that. When you've got a featured artist, it's good to give them real estate. There was a lot going on in this track, as I've said several times here, so let's just quickly elaborate on that. You know, with the strings, the synths, the guitars, bass sequences, drums, etc. Maybe some keys occasionally, and the different vocal takes on the sides and in the center. It's just charming. It's really well considered, and it's heavy. But it's also got this interesting mid-range resonance where it just sounds really full because of that. Then again, these guys don't have a super acute bass response, so the sub-bass might be pretty feral, I'm not sure. And in a good way, I mean, you know. But either way, there's a lot of color in the harmonies with this one, and ultimately it was just, it sounded really mature. There is range within this EP. I'm glad that Heathensun are not only exploring different subjects. I suppose this one with friends is, I don't just mean like exploring different subjects in regards to the song, like what they're about. I mean, like, we are exploring, like, again, more sort of synthy kind of stuff in this one as opposed to other ones. It's nice we don't just have the exact same makeup with every track when there's a temptation potentially to do so. But I think this track, for instance, before you go on to the final track, is about, you know, people just like who your real friends are, who the fake ones are, the experiences that the fake people are going to have to deal with, you know, giving respect to take respect, etc. There's more to it than that, but like that's what I got on the first listen. And then finally we have the end with Heathensun and HED PE or HED PE or something like that. Let's go. It's like we didn't necessarily want to commit to the same sort of passage as the verse vocal takes. We were kind of playing with the key signature a little bit, how we kind of wanted to sound like we were almost harmonizing with those siren sounds there. Interesting vocal timbre though, they're very distinct. They've got a hand to Heathensun, they've picked interesting artists to work with. Oh, double chorus. The animosity there. That's bittersweet. It's kind of sad that it's the end. I actually quite enjoyed my time with this EP. I can tell I put a lot of effort into the entire process of like the audio-visual experience there with the music videos, with the EP in general, but this isn't the conclusion. This is just me talking about the end before the conclusion. So really quickly, the end, what I got from the lyrics, sounded like I couldn't figure out whether we were talking about it being the end, so we need to watch out or be careful about things because we knew too much. Or maybe we know enough that it is the end and now we've got to close out with that information. I think with this track, and this is probably going to say something I'm going to say in the conclusion, but I think with this entire EP, you really just need to listen to it from a non-analytical perspective and just kind of absorb it like a sponge and then listen to it again. The rapping is done well, and I do get the vast majority of the words through clearly. It's just basically if I was to try and get every single sentence in context, I'd probably have to just continue to pause it and kind of process it and everything like that. And maybe it's just because like I'm like a little bit dumb, but like I don't know. It's just there's a lot of information there. But at the same time, I still enjoyed listening to the rhythms, the grooves with the way the vocals were phrased both in the verses and then the relative simplicity of that within the chorus with the call and responses was very satisfying. We had the old familiar siren sounds, the guitars, the bass and the drums as well filtering us out throughout the end. And HED PE, again, really sort of like distinct texture and timbre to their voice. Great choice for collaboration. I'm happy with it. This is a good EP. But welcome to the conclusion of my review of this EP from an act named Heathensun titled New Metal Ninjas. Now, what I think that this EP is, because I've spoken about what the individual tracks mean, the best of my knowledge of what they mean in each of the sort of mini conclusion sections after each track. A special shout out as well to Dropout Kings, CHUCKY, Don't Give a Fuck at DGAF, I assume, Kate, Glock, and HED PE for their work on this. They're tremendous workers as featured artists, if I don't talk about that later on. Most of them were in the role, if not all of them were in the role of vocalists, so I guess that's next. But this EP, I think, is a show of what Heathensun are all about. It's an sort of example or a hint at the kind of music, the kind of career they want to have as musicians, so I think could have a career in the industry if they continue to stick at it. They've got some really interesting material there. They've clearly got the sort of aesthetic they're going for. Their acumen, I hate to be that guy who talks about branding and business acumen and stuff like that. But in the least kind of cringy way possible, I genuinely see what they're doing. I think, yeah, this is definitely an act that's got things screwed on correctly, and it'll be interesting to see their journey and where they go next. The EP is basically things they wanted to talk about individually, individual concepts that sort of represent who they are, their own impact that they want to have on their listeners and the people around them in the world, maybe some interpersonal stuff, maybe a bit of fourth wall breaking, but that's effectively it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it represents what they want to do well. The image and the videos as well as the audio syncs up well to the lyrics in general. But if I talk about the vocals, I think that, again, when they talk about Beastie Boys meets Limp Bizkit, I do think that they do handle the new metal thing quite well. I know I mentioned like Linkin Park with some of the sort of like string choices and sort of lead parts and synth parts, but I get that the style of vocals here, and I think that there's a niche for it in 2023. It's something where you've got to really sort of also refine it to make it so that people recognize you when they listen to your music. But part of that is the way that they're again, the audio-visual experience, the way they are showing themselves in the videos, that like their masks and everything like that. It's very vivid. It's meant to help differentiate and just be distinctive, and I think that that's well done. But from the music alone, the rapping is great. There's a fantastic flow to it, a phenomenal amount of charisma. I am sure that a live show with this band would be absolutely spectacular. But you can imagine that if these guys went into a mosh pit, it'd be a hell of a time, like that'd be getting everyone going. And like that's the passion, the energy within the vocal performance tied to the style of lyrics we're doing. the chants, but also again it's the featured artists and how some of them do sort of clean vocals, some of them have distinct kind of different ways of rapping, you know. Glock with the sort of more melodic kind of mid to high range vocals there, and HED PE with their own style as well. They separate each track and make them unique. And I think that collaborating with other musicians also, you know, allows you to meet their sort of like groups of people that listen to them. But more importantly, it allows you to kind of like grow as a musician, because you learn to not only make what you like, but also take and kind of sample things and see what works. And I think more than anything, it's not just that the vocals were done well in this, is that I think we're trying to sort of like develop our own sound whilst being respectful to those that we work with and enhance the overall listening experience. And I think that alone is something worthwhile. There were no issues with like weird sort of like vocal phrasings or off rhythms or weird sort of melodic interval harmonic nuances there. Things segged well, and it was very convincing. The tracks were typically between 2.5 to 4 minutes. That was as long as they needed to be. Beautifully between a 2 to 4 minute sweet spot there. My Own Worst Enemy and Shellshock, I wasn't expecting the extra verses that we had or the extra solo sections when we had them. There was a distinct amount of content within these tracks that was really well fleshed out, and I don't think there was any filler at any point. I'm glad that we limited My Own Worst Enemy and Shellshock to the time that they were. I do not think we could have gotten away with an extra sort of lead section, and I do not think we could have gotten away with more of a verse after that. I was almost at the point with Shellshock where I felt as if we could have potentially ended it on the second solo and then just had like the build come up and it just drop. You know what I mean? But like still, I respect the fact that they wanted to end it the way they did. It was a strong finish. Throughout these tracks, there are a lot of interesting different sort of instrumental passages there. Typically, there were guitars, bass, and drums. There were also some synth parts occasionally with different textures and tones there. There were some sirens. There was some sort of lower synthy strings part with some sequences. There were also a bit of turntablism from time to time. But like, let's just talk about we'll talk about the main one. So the guitars, I think that they were handled really well. There was a lot of oomph to the way they were played. There were the low drop tune power chords there. You didn't really need more complexity to the harmonies than that, especially when you've got that amount of stuff going on with like the rap parts and everything like that. It's very busy. If you complicate the backing too much, it can take away from the lead, and you need to get every word clearly, you know. So the rhythm parts were great. There was a wide variety of different sort of like strummed rhythms there as well. There's like palm muting and some sort of melodic bits. Sometimes there were even some sort of like solo sections there, like in Shellshock, where we played around with exploring the upper range of the fretboard and just really kind of making the most of the space that we had within the real estate of the arrangement. Like the fact that we had 3.5 minute tracks, but typically the guitars were there to kind of add that sort of like aesthetic of the nu metal vibe, their distortion, bit of punch to it, working well and in sync with the bass and drums. The bass guitar being phenomenal on the low end, with occasional 808s or something like that in some of the tracks. I don't know if it was 4 Kings, or there might have been like an 808 or like a synthetic bass or something like that, but typically the bass was low, it was proud, and it just rocked, man. It rocked in the subs, and it followed the harmonies well with the root notes loyally, and just really, really fierce. The drums were spectacular. Honestly, if I was to give a shout out to any of the individual instruments that were being played within this track, it'd be the drums. The grooves were just incredible. Like My Own Worst Enemy, I was instantly sold on the finesse, the wide variety of 8ths, triplets, and 16s, and even 32nds that we had there, the exploration of the different cymbals as well. I think we did have some fills as well, but we didn't just play 8th notes and sort of safe grooves there that might work well. We filled in every little bit of gap and niche. And really, it's like we knew exactly where to put things. If we had played more drums than we did, it would have been too much. If we'd played less, I think that the tracks they might have become a little bit generic sounding. Part of what made them, you know, not that if you had only the power chords and the bass, I'm not saying that the music is generic, but what I mean is that the added finesse and intricacy of some of those drum grooves really did spice it up and gave it a little bit of extra edge and oomph to it. I think that the synth layers that we had, the sirens, you know, some of the sequences we had in the mid to high ranges there, and like in 4 Kings where things were a little bit low, And Friends at the end, like, had the kind of sparkly kind of stuff at the end there, exploring the stereo field. It was stunning, really nicely handled. And we clearly have a fundamental understanding of music theory and composition here. We understand how to layer instruments within an arrangement. All the tracks are nice and full sounding with sufficient dynamic range. The themes across the board were typically they were in your face, they were unapologetic. The force behind, like, even when they weren't, the drop tuned guitars, the drum beats pummeling you, the bass thick and full, it was like the uncertainty, the tension created by the synths, the other sort of electronic elements there. It was just very loyal to the genre and very authentic to it. But also, I think, again, the exploration, like in the tracks from Shellshock, and like for the guitars, and the different sort of acoustic and electronic drum layers in Four Kings, and like just the craziness of percussion in general, alongside the vocals, alongside what was going on in general with like the collaborations made this unique. And I can identify Heathensun when I hear their music, and I really appreciate that, because you need that these days with the industry being as it is. The studio recording, mixing and mastering, solid. It's really well mixed, handled. I mean, like, the filtering and EQing of the instruments was great. The vocals sounded nice and clear. I could tell there's little differences with how they were mixed and mastered between tracks, but I don't mind. Like with the singles on YouTube, you can tell they redid things for the official EP release. I thought the EP sounded great. I also thought that the singles sounded great. I'm not sure which of them I prefer. I think that there was a nice level of polish to all of it. But then again, with this kind of music, I don't mind if there's a few rough edges, because it makes it just a little bit more sort of like gritty and angsty. Nice and wide in the stereo field. Like the music just completely surrounded you. And no resonant frequencies in the frequency spectrum. Things were well handled there. Again, I mentioned there would be dynamic range. Things weren't overcompressed. But it was still nice and loud without pumping, so bus compression limiting were handled. And just before we go, with the vocals, I just thought they were really good, solid takes. We didn't feel we clearly didn't feel the need to over-engineer them or sanitize them or anything like that. There might have been like a few sort of things to sort of smooth stuff out occasionally, but anything that was there was like a stylistic thing, and ultimately I thought it served the purpose it required. So, I mean, this is effectively my review of this EP from an act named Heathensun titled New Metal Ninjas, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show us some love via their various social medias and a Spotify page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.